It is scary.
I was worried about her hair.
Yeah, I understand.
They're gonna have to shave my head.
My brother accidentally lit his girlfriend's hair on fire in church one time.
With the candle?
He was in the pew behind her, yeah, and she had a bunch of hairspray on, and it was just like, I was like, what's that smell?
It was her hair.
Yep.
Wow. I know, I saw somebody with a fire pit on Valley Street, and I was walking down Plum Alley the other day, and somebody had a fire pit on the back deck, and I was
As long as it's not windy, it's okay.
ooh.
That's what happened over there, wasn't there a lot of wind or something?
The monitors are not on. We don't have to have them, I just figured out.
Open.
They're not doing that tonight.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
We have to know when to sign up.
All right, guys, so I've got 6:30 by my time. Is everybody ready to roll?
Ready?
Excellent. With that being said, I'd like to welcome everybody to the August the 3rd regular council meeting. We certainly appreciate any and all involvement we get from the community. For those of you who have shown up and or the ones watching online, we appreciate that. Your feedback is vital to the process, and we do appreciate your involvement. Also note that there will be an opportunity for the public to address the council during the public speaking or public comments portion. If you have signed up, please approach the council and state your first and last name, and you will get 3 minutes. All that being said, I guess we'll start right with the agenda. Item number B, appointment of new council member. At this point in time, I guess I'll open the floor to the council for nominations. All that being said, I guess we'll start right with the agenda.
I'd like to nominate Charles Michael Owens.
All right, got a nomination of Mike Owens. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, nomination by Vice Mayor Quetch, second by Mr. Anderson. Any discussion? All right, if none, then Kim, if you please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Ms. Pillion. Aye. Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
And Mayor Webb.
Aye. Welcome, Mike. We're glad to have you. It's an exciting time, in my opinion, for the Abingdon Town Council, and we're happy to have a fifth person back on council, have all those seats filled. At this point in time, we'll move to item C, which is the oath of office for Mr. Mike Owens. And if you'll approach us, and Kim will have you recite the oath.
Let her get it right now. Mr. Owens, do you raise your right hand, I'm so sorry. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent on me as a member of the Abingdon, Virginia Town Council for a term beginning August the 3rd, 2020, until certification of the May 4th, 2021 special election to the best of my ability. So help me God. Get your signature. You may take your seat, Mr. Evans. Thank you. Welcome.
Well,
I want to thank the council for appointing me to this position. I'm looking forward to working with you and working for the town of Abingdon.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. It's nice to have that fifth seat filled, and we, like I said, welcome. I think, just looking at the agenda, I think we failed to put the Pledge of Allegiance on there. If you guys would like to stand for the pledge. And Mike, if you would lead us.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, thank you. Thanks again. All right, so moving down to item D, approval of the agenda. I would open that up for a motion to approve the agenda.
I will move to approve the agenda.
All right, motion to approve the agenda by Ms. Pillion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Vice Mayor Quetch. Any discussion? If none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Here.
Mr. Anderson?
Here.
Ms. Pillion?
Here.
Ms. Quetch?
Here.
And Mayor Webb.
I think they all meant aye.
I think they all meant aye, so I'm gonna go with aye.
That's okay.
Aye.
I'm sorry. That's what I said.
The rookie
Good.
mistake.
You're good, you're good. All right. Well, now that we have an approval of the agenda, we'll move right along to public comments. Do we have anybody signed up? All right. Nobody signed up for public comments, so we're going to move right along to the approval of the minutes. If it's all right with the council, we can adopt all these at one time, if that's okay with you guys. The July 1st, 2020 organizational regular meeting, the July 16th work session, and the July 22nd meeting, including the closed session for purpose of interviewing applicants for town council vacancy. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
All right, motion by Mr. Anderson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Pillion. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Kim, I'll have to abstain since I was not present.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Ms. Pillion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mayor Webb.
Aye. All right, moving right along to proclamations, we have none. So we'll jump right into the bulk of the meeting. Item H, the petitions and public hearings. We have a public hearing for the proposed zoning text amendment, Part 2, Code Appendix B, the zoning ordinance, Article 21, involving signs, with Jason Boswell.
Thank you, Mayor Webb, Honorable Council. I'm going to give a brief summary of what's been happening with the proposed amendment. This public hearing is for a proposed amendment to Appendix B, zoning ordinance, Article 21, signs in its entirety. To give a brief summary, this process began back in October 2019. We contracted with the Berkeley Group to review the ordinance and provide an update. The Planning Commission on June 22nd, 2020 unanimously approved the draft ordinance and forwarded the recommendation to the Town Council. Now, the reason we did all this is because it was woefully out of date. Having said that, the proposed sign ordinance has been revised with the following goals in mind: clarify and streamline the existing code, providing additional flexibility in the industrial and commercial districts; clarify or ensure a content-neutral ordinance according to the Supreme Court decision in Reed versus Town of Gilbert, which determined that localities cannot regulate content; provide enhanced consistency in application of the various permitted sign types; modernize and update definitions, sign permit requirements, and review authority and other sections. So the proposed sign ordinance has now been restructured into 9 sections, and I will read each one and give you a brief synopsis of each. The first being purpose and intent. This section streamlines the existing code section 21.3 applicability. Some of the items listed in the existing code section 21-3-3 were consolidated for the repetitive nature. Number 2, administration. This section outlines administration items such as interpretation, sign permit requirements and fees. Servability and substitution clauses were included, and sign permit requirements have been clarified. Review responsibilities within the Olden Historic District and entrance corridor districts have been revised for clarity. Number 3, exemptions. This section consolidates various existing exemptions into one section. Content-based sign types and requirements were revised and updated, and additional exemptions added based on best practices. Number 4, prohibited. This section was reorganized to follow the section on exemptions. Some items were removed or reworded for Reed compliance, and additional prohibitions recommended based on best practices. Number 5, general. The existing code, section 21-4, general, was edited for clarity and ease of use. New sign area and calculation requirements are provided, and additional general requirements are included for general design criteria such as illumination, changeable signs, and projecting signs. Number 6, districts. This section was removed from the existing code section 21-4 and established as a standalone section for clarity and ease of use. Dimension standard tables establish the type, number, area, and height of permitted signs in each district, and sign types included in this section are based on content-neutral definitions, which you should have in your packet under page 9, section 21-6, districts. It's now very user-friendly, and it shows all of the districts and what's permitted by type, height, area. Much easier to use. Number 7, non-conforming signs. This new standalone section was created from the existing sections under general. The requirement in existing code section 21-3-1 subsection A for town staff to notify the owners of new non-conforming signs was removed, and additional clarification added for the expansion and movement of non-conforming signs. Number 8, enforcement. This new standalone section incorporates language regarding the enforcement of the sign code. And number 9, finally, is definitions. The definitions section was reorganized and revised to incorporate a range of content-neutral sign types. Images were also added to provide examples of certain sign types, which you'll find in your packet. It gives definitions, and you'll have illustrations showing the most frequently used types of signs within the town. So that essentially sums up what we have accomplished with this update, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, I have a question. Not only did it make it much more user-friendly, it also made it much more business-friendly.
Much more
right?
business-friendly, yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Especially along our I-81 corridor, which is the heart of our business district. We've allowed a little bit higher height for visibility off of I-81 and a little bit bigger sign area.
As an example of that, if you don't mind me to interject, with the Hampton Inn relocating across the street, our existing sign code would technically not allow them to
That's correct.
relocate that sign, but it was placed there. I don't know if it was placed there prior to the adoption of the code or what time frame that was done if the code became more restrictive.
It
But,
became more restrictive.
you know, that's the type of, usually the corridors along the interstate are generally, it's acceptable to see larger types of signs, so that was one area where we wanted to try to improve.
We tried to listen to the business owners and give them what they wanted within reason. We didn't want to give 100-foot sign like Hampton Inn currently has, but a 50-foot sign is within reason.
Okay.
We felt like that was a good compromise.
Does it affect the guidelines in the historic district at all for their
No,
sign?
sir, it does not. They still have regulatory authority over everything that happens within the historic district.
Any other questions for me, guys? All right, well, this is a public hearing, so at this point in time, I think I'll open the public hearing. Has anyone presented themselves to speak at the public hearing that we know of? Okay. Not that we know of. I guess last call for the public hearing to be open. And seeing that there's no one here to speak, I guess I'll close that public hearing. And I understood it correctly, Cam, we don't have to take any action at this point in time. We'll take action later in the agenda, correct? Just read the shall it be rejected. Okay. So council, at this point in time, and I'll read that now. Shall this proposal be rejected? All right, hearing none, we'll move right along. The next public hearing we have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
The next public hearing we have is for the proposed lease agreement for an athletic field by and between Commonwealth of Virginia, Virginia Highlands Community College on behalf of the State Board for Community Colleges in the town of Abingdon. Jimmy Morano.
Yes, this agreement has actually been in the works since last year. Prior to my arrival, I think several of you were on the council when this was being discussed. It took a while because there was a change in leadership at the college, and then it had to be reviewed by the Attorney General's office and just a lot of bureaucratic stuff had to go through the process. So finally, we did receive a response, and it's been brought to the council now for consideration. Essentially, this is just the college is allowing the town to utilize some extra fields. Derek, you're the mayor, Mayor, you're on the Recreation Advisory Commission. You probably have more
Sure.
background on this than I do, because I wasn't here when it was initially
Yeah,
proposed,
so,
so.
I think the spirit of this agreement was really just to give the kids a place to play, a place to practice. One of the big concerns that I've heard over and over and over from the young families is there's just not enough field space. And the community college has that nice field back there. It's nice and level and sort of ready to go. We just have to do minor alterations depending on who's practicing and so on and so forth. So we just felt like that would be a great place for the kids to have, or really the community to have for that matter. And this was, like I said, the spirit was just to sort of give them another place to practice if they needed that.
Now, where is it located?
It's right beside the Higher Ed Center. There's a big, like, flat field kind of right beside it if you look sort of to the right-hand side from the road. And I think the college does utilize it some, but,
Basically where they do the antiques market.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in years past, of course, that's where they did the antiques market. But it's a nice, level, flat playing field, so it could be, it's multi-purpose. It's not striped for baseball or anything like that, but it could be. And there's no sense in letting it sit there and not be utilized, so.
Well, and this is timely because the other day, my kids did soccer camp
Yep.
this past week, and it was explained to me that because of school closures, because of the VHSL rules, usually the soccer group uses all different fields all around for school, that the school owns, and they are not allowed to use any school fields. So the way it was explained to me by the high school soccer coach is that the only field that they have to use for the entire soccer program this fall is Latcher. And then they asked me, and I haven't talked to you about this yet, but whether or not football was going to be played. So somebody should tell them, because they were very concerned about field space.
Sure, yeah, this is a big win. Like I said, you're right, absolutely. We're limited with the field space, and even with the new sports complex coming, if we were to host events that were larger or we needed multiple sites, this would give us another venue to do that. So we've got a lot of great stuff coming for the youth. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Any other discussion about that, guys? All right. So this is a public hearing, so at this point in time, I would declare the public hearing open. Do we have anybody that has shown up to speak at the public hearing? Not that we know of? Thanks, Chief. Having said that, I'll close the public hearing, and Cam, we need to take action on this, correct? Okay. So council, what's your pleasure?
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we enter into this lease agreement with Virginia Highlands Community College on behalf of the State Board of the Community Colleges in the town of Abingdon.
Excellent. So I've got a motion by Vice Mayor Quetch to enter into this lease agreement with the community college on behalf of the State Board for Community College in the town of Abingdon. Do I have a second?
No, second.
Second by Mr. Anderson. Any discussion, council? Hearing none. Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Ms. Pillion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Aye. All right, moving right along. Next section of the agenda is the resolutions. We do have a resolution. The consideration of resolution determining property located at 130 Wall Street, commonly known as the Abingdon Mercantile, for redevelopment pursuant to section 36-55.30, colon 2B, Code of Virginia, 1950 as amended. Tanya Triplett, you're on the hot seat.
Good evening, and thank you. On July 16th, we presented you with this resolution. We have a developer who's interested in the old Abingdon Mercantile Building on Wall Street. He is working with the Virginia Housing Development Authority, and this resolution would simply give him more resources through the Virginia Housing Development Authority, if you guys choose to pass this.
I think we've talked about this a couple of times. Does anybody have any specific questions for Ms. Triplett while she's here?
I've got a couple of questions. I just want to make sure that it doesn't restrict the property owners around them in any way.
No, sir, this is specific to the 130 Wall Street address.
And if we use this designation, can we use it again somewhere else in town, if need
Yes.
be, if wanted to be?
Yes,
And does it affect the historic district as far as their guidelines at all?
it does not.
Okay.
It's not.
This is a very specific section of that statute that allows this particular designation for a single piece of property. And really, the only involvement we have is that we allow that designation so they can get this extra funding.
So it doesn't
affect
obligate us to
anybody.
any money at all?
We're not
No.
obligated, no, sir.
Good. Thank you.
And it doesn't affect anybody else, it's just that one piece of property.
Excellent. Any other questions? All right, council, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we pass this resolution.
All right, motion by Vice Mayor Quetch to pass the resolution as stated. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Mike. Sorry, I apologize, Mr. Owens.
Mike is fine.
Beginner mistake, right? Yeah. So I've got a second by Mr. Owens. Any discussion, council? All right, hearing none. Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Ms. Pillion,
Aye.
Ms. Quetch,
Aye.
and Mayor Webb.
Aye. All right, moving right along to the first readings of ordinances. We have the proposed zoning text amendment, Part 2, Code Appendix B, zoning ordinance, Article 21 of signs that we just spoke about.
I think we already did the first reading as part of that.
We changed things up just so we to segregate the public hearings for the first reading, since that's why in the past, I think we put them under the public hearing area. But
Okay.
at times it was confusing because sometimes we didn't have first readings under the public hearing sections, and so we thought it would be easier to separate them, so.
So I guess our.
So next time, if there's a first reading along with the public hearing, we'll have the public hearing first, and then we'll still have the first reading under the first reading section, so it doesn't
Okay.
confuse and muddle up the first part,
I
so.
got you.
We're always trying to improve things here at
I
the
hear you.
town of
Streamline
Abington.
The process, right? So I take it, we don't
Process
need to take
improvement.
any action since we've already,
We already.
You already did.
Yeah, we already did it.
good deal. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll mark that off of the agenda. We've already done it. So second readings of ordinances, we have none. Consideration of any bids, we have none. Old business, do we have any old business, Jimmy, that I'm not aware of? Or?
I'm not aware of any old business.
All right, excellent. Miscellaneous business and communications from the town manager. I think you're up, Jimmy.
That was another new title that we added,
Yeah, I like that.
miscellaneous business
I like
and
that.
communication. I think that was Kim's.
I like it.
I just have a couple things I wanted to bring up. As you might have seen, we did get one of the credit rating agencies to issue their rating. The town did maintain its strong credit rating from Moody's at uppercase A, lowercase a, 3. That's a prime rate, so that's good. I think it's the 4th highest rate that Moody's has. So we are maintaining that strong credit rating, which is good. Standard & Poor's will issue their rating probably in the next week or so. We have a follow-up call with them tomorrow, actually, because they had somebody who was on vacation after our first call, and they wanted to just ask a few follow-up questions. So we don't expect any change to that credit rating as well. So Davenport Company obviously assisted us with that, and we had, I thought we had a couple good conference calls with the rating agencies. One quick update on meals and lodging taxes. I just got this from Tammy. Meals tax has actually fared a little bit better, only a 11.7% decline from the previous years. The month of July, which is technically June sales, so restaurant sales for June are due in July. Lodging tax is still lagging at 50% reduction from the previous year, but I think that's expected. But meals tax did improve better than I think we expected, so hopefully the trend will continue. So that's all I have, unless
The
anybody has any
50%
questions.
lodging, that's better than we had been performing, correct?
Well, we had, yeah, I mean, it was, the low point was in May,
Right.
which was 81.6% decline, and then there was a 74.4% decline in June
Right.
from the previous year. And a lot of this was covered, Joe Tennis did a pretty extensive
right.
article, and you might have seen that in the article
Yeah.
there. So it is improving to 50%, and I think next month it'll probably improve, hopefully, because of we had the race in Bristol. Actually I think we had 1 or 2 nights of full capacity. I know when David Rose came into town for the rating calls, he couldn't get a hotel room in town, and he had to stay in Bristol. That's the only one of the few times we allow him to stay in Bristol. It's when he can't get a room here. Except when he's going to work for Bristol, then it's okay if he stays there. They're a client of his too. So I think we'll probably be a little bit better maybe for that month, but we'll see. So, but that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions. Any follow-up
Council, do
questions?
we have
or-
any questions?
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
All right, moving right along to council member reports. Does anybody have a report they'd like to share? I'm sure everybody's been busy just like I have in this crazy time, but we're moving right along, getting back to a normal, making progress. So, well, if there's no council member reports, then we'll get to item P, appointments to board and committees. Council, I understand we have made room for a closed session. Do I have a motion for that?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion and move that the Abington Town Council convene in closed session to discuss the following. As permitted by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1 for consideration of application for appointment/reappointment to serve on the Planning Commission, Historic Preservation Review Board, Tourism Advisory Committee, Virginia's Highlands Small Incubator, Economic Development Authority, and/or Sustain Abington. And as permitted by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A7, consultation with legal counsel about the pending cases of Eisenhower and Kelly EEOC matters and probable future litigation.
All right, so we have a motion by Vice Mayor Quetch. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Ms. Pillion. Any discussion, council? All right, Kim, if you please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Ms. Pillion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Aye. All right, so we'll now convene in closed session, and I think we're going to stay in this room.
Okay.
So David, as soon as you showed up, I'm kicking you out.
News is that he still does it.
But he still does it. He told Tim the other day, and he said, "Tell dumbass." I said, "Hi." Oh, we're on.
Not yet. All right. So I think we're back on, council, and if we've completed our closed session, if I could have a motion to come back into open session. Do I have a motion, council?
Make my motion. Reopen.
All right, I've got you guys tied on it.
Go
so-
ahead.
So
I'll
I've
second.
got a motion to come back into open session by Mr. Owens and a second by Mr. Anderson. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion,
Aye.
Ms. Quetch,
Aye.
and Mayor Webb.
Aye. And I think Donna's got the certification to read.
Okay, I move that the town council certify that in closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter or matters specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session and lawfully permitted to be discussed under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act cited in that motion.
All right. Do I have a second? Do I need a second? No?
Mr. Owens, do you so certify?
I so certify.
Mr. Anderson, do you so certify?
so
Ms. Pillion, do
certify.
you so certify?
I so certify.
Ms. Quetch,
I so certify.
and Mayor Webb.
I so certify. All right, so that brings us back up to speed. And we are still on item P on the agenda, appointments to boards and committees. Number one will be the Planning Commission. We're looking for an appointment to fill a vacancy as a result of town manager no longer serving, and an appointment, are we doing this separate or together, council?
Together.
Together, okay, and an appointment to fill a vacancy of James Anderson, who of course is now appointed as council representative. Do I have a motion to appoint anybody to those seats?
I'll make a motion that I appoint Mr. Chad Pennington and Mr. Mike Weaver to the Planning Commission.
All right, so I have a motion to appoint Chad Pennington and Michael Weaver to the Planning Commission. Do I have a second?
I will second.
All right, second by Ms. Pillion. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion,
Aye.
Ms. Quetch,
Aye.
and Mayor Webb.
Aye. Number two, Historic Preservation Review Board. Do I have a nomination or a motion for that one?
I would make a motion that we appoint Mike Owens.
All right, motion by Vice Mayor Quetch to appoint Mike Owens to the Historic Preservation Review Board as the council appointee. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Anderson. Any discussion? Hearing none. Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens,
Should I abstain from that, voting for myself?
No. No, you're good.
Aye.
Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
And Mayor Webb.
Aye. Moving right along to number three, the Tree Commission. We are replacing a seat that was previously held by Cindy Patterson. Do I have an appointment there?
I'd make a motion that we appoint Amanda Pillion.
All right, motion by Vice Mayor Quetch to appoint Amanda Pillion to the Tree Commission as the council representative. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Mr. Anderson. Any discussion, council? Hearing none. Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Ms. Pillion,
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
And Mayor Webb.
Aye. Now we're at the Sinking Spring Cemetery Committee. We have a council seat vacant there. Do I have any appointments?
I move to appoint Mr. Owens. Sorry.
All right, got a motion to appoint Mr. Owens to the Sinking Spring Cemetery Committee as the council appointee. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Vice Mayor Quetch. Any discussion, council? Hearing none. Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Ms. Pillion,
Aye.
Ms. Quetch,
Aye.
and Mayor Webb.
Aye. The Tourism Advisory Committee, we need an appointment to fill the expired term of Joel Jerkins, I believe, serving as representative from the restaurant establishment, and an appointment to fill the unexpired term of Kali Haigla, serving as a representative from William King Arts and Culture. Do I have any appointments?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Jack Barrow and Nikki Hicks to the Tourism Advisory Committee.
Excellent. So I've got a motion to appoint Jack Barrow and Nikki Hicks to the Tourism Advisory Committee. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
All right, second by Mr. Owens. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens.
Aye.
Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
And Mayor Webb.
Aye. All right, making record time. We've got the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator. We have 4 appointments to make there. I think we're going to take them all up at one time. Do I have any appointments?
I'd like to motion to appoint Kent Peterson, Sylvia Robbins, Michael Spiegler, and Doris Schumann.
All right. Motion by Mr. Owens to appoint Kent Peterson, Sylvia Robbins, Mike Spiegler, and Doris Schumann to the Small Business Incubator. Do I have a second, council?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Anderson. Any discussion? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens.
Aye.
Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
And Mayor Webb.
Aye. And last but not least, tonight, we have the Sustain Abingdon Committee. We've got an appointment to fill an unexpired term of Missy Kolb and to fill the position that the town manager didn't know he had.
I will move to appoint Robin Raines and Deborah Robinson.
All right, I've got a motion by Ms. Pillion to appoint Robin Raines and Deborah, what was the last name?
Robinson.
Robinson to the Sustain Abingdon Committee. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Owens. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens.
Aye.
Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
And Mayor Webb.
Aye. All right, is there anything I'm missing, guys?
Yes, you missed the Economic Development Authority. You're gonna post
Next month.
next month? We'll
Yeah,
put it
I
up
think
next
we're,
month?
yeah. Mhm,
Okay.
uh-huh. Anything else, council? All right. Well, if nothing else, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good, we made it.
Aye, aye, sir.
We made it.